Hello everyone, my name is Ornella Queening Tamize and I'm a director of Service and Immigration Queening. We are a company and our mission is to provide services to those persons who want to immigrate here in Canada as student, worker, or asylum seeker, or if we already have a member of your family here in Canada, you can you can sponsor your family member or your spouse and children and stuff, your children, your spouse, or a family member here to migrate here in Canada as permanent resident. So, like I said before, I don't know if you guys heard about us. We are a company and our mission is to help people to succeed in their project to immigrate here in Canada. And as such, we work with an immigration lawyer, and the immigration lawyer we are working with is really dedicated to provide an excellent service to help you achieve your goal to immigrate here in Canada. So today we are going to talk about something that's really a problem to the immigration system and the changes that occurred lately with the immigration law and the services that that the immigration has actually changed. We are also aware that we have a change of a government. We have a new Prime Minister of Canada. We also have a new Minister of Immigration. So we have a new immigration minister. So we happen to have in the past few months a lot of changes regarding immigration here in Canada. So today we're going to talk about what are the consequences regarding those changes, what you can do as a foreigner to succeed here in Canada, regardless what is your status here. So if you are a student, what are the tools that you can do to be able to succeed here in Canada? Or if you immigrate here as a worker with an open permit or closed permit, what are the tools that you can use to succeed in Canada? Or if you're an asylum seeker already here in Canada, what are the tools that you can use to succeed here in Canada? So we're also going to talk about how you can maintain a valid status here in order for you to be able to secure a position in a company or in a firm in order for you to live, to succeed in your life and be able to achieve your goal by immigrating here in Canada. So we're going to start with student, okay? So as you can see, what is the aim of student? When an immigration agent gives you a visa to come here in Canada as a student, so they want to make sure that if you actually come here in Canada as a student, that you are studying actually. So regardless what are your main of study, even if you are studying like law or mathematics or computer science or nursing, whatever program you are on, you have to maintain the valid status here in Canada. In order for you to maintain the valid status here in Canada, is by making sure that all your documents provided by the immigration officer while coming here in Canada are valid at all times. You have to be very careful with the information that you receive by, even if a lawyer or a consultant or immigration consultant, you have to be very diligent by making sure that all your documents are valid and by making sure that if you have a student permit to study here in Canada, and if your study permit says that you have 3 years on your study permit, for example, before your study permit expires, you need to make sure that you have 30 days to make sure that you can renew your study permit here and make sure that you remain and maintain a valid status here in Canada. This is very important. If you want to succeed here, you have to make sure that your study is valid at all times. And this requires you to be very diligent, to be very wise and be thoughtful and prudent in everything, in every action that you do and everything that you do as a student here in Canada, okay? So this is the first thing to know about being a student here. Making sure that you have valid funds, sufficient funds to be able to cover your tuition, your pension, your you know, your logistics and everything that's concerning your studies, you need to make sure that you have sufficient funds to be able to cover those expenses, because you prove before securing a visa here in Canada as a student, you prove to an immigration officer that you're going to study here in Canada. So you prove to them that you have sufficient funds to be able to cover your studies and your tuition here in Canada. So you have to make sure that while coming here, you are actually studying, okay? The law requires you to work like 20 hours, okay? So these minimum hours only helps you to be able to live, you know, because your study here in Canada as a student is not a worker. So you have to maintain a valid status at all times if you want to secure a position in Canada, or if you want to succeed in Canada here. Second of all, we're going to talk about the status of a worker. We notice that a lot of people are facing a lot of difficulties regarding the status here as a worker. People come here with a closed worker permit, and they don't have a lot of information about what is your rights and your obligation as a worker here in Canada. What can you actually do when you immigrate here, or when you come here in Canada as a worker? What are your rights and what are your obligations here? So you need to know that as a worker here in Canada, you can only work to the company where you have your work permit, because you have a closed permit, okay? So you have to make sure that if you actually prove to the immigration officer that you are going to immigrate here as a worker, that your work permit remains, to keep your work permit valid all time, you need to be able to prove to the immigration officer or to the agent that you are actually working and securing and working at the position that you said you're going to be working at while coming here in Canada, okay? That is very important. Talking about the particular situation of vulnerable workers who are facing like difficulties like violence and discrimination, harassment on your work field, the immigration lawyer has provided cases and examples. What are the tools that those persons who are facing like exceptional particular situation, they can have like an open permit. But in order for you to have an open permit, because you are facing like a discrimination on your work field, or you're working in a company where your security is not maintained at all time, because that is the right of the company you are working with to maintain, to make sure that you work in a secure environment. So if you are not working in a secure environment, or if you are facing like difficulty like racism or harassment, discrimination, or if you are being fired because you are pregnant or because you are black, or if you are able to prove to the immigration that you are actually facing one of those circumstances that I just mentioned earlier, then you can be eligible to have an open work permit. So the open work permit is going to help you to work in another company. You know, that's very important to know, okay? So thirdly, we're going to talk about the situation of an asylum seeker here in Canada. We are facing a lot of people coming here, crossing the Canadian border to come here in Canada from the United States, coming here in Canada as an asylum seeker. This is very this is really a huge problem that we are facing at the moment. A lot of asylum seekers have been chased to go back to their countries, to the countries where they come from, because of the situation that's actually going on in the United States, and they end up crossing the border and coming in Canada as an asylum seeker. And the government is actually closing everything, the services that they use to provide to asylum seekers, they are actually closing everything to all those asylum seekers. So they end up being in the situation that they are not really like an asylum seeker here in Canada, neither they are in the United States. So they just hang in there. This is really a huge and difficult situation to be faced, or to be on that position. So this is really important to know that You need to know what is the definition of an asylum seeker, because an asylum seeker is not someone who is like chasing or who doesn't want to live in his country because he doesn't have money. That's not a reason. That's not a valid reason. That's not a legal reason or an immigration reason for you to secure or for you to become a refugee here in Canada. For you to become a refugee here in Canada, you have to prove to an immigration officer that you are actually fearing your life, because you've been facing, if you go back to your country, you're going to end up being killed because of political circumstances that are going on in your country, because of social circumstances or religious circumstances that you are facing in your country of origin, that you are fearing to go back there. So that's why you are asking the Canadian immigration or the Canadian government to give you the status of refugee. So there's a difference between an asylum seeker and a refugee. An asylum seeker is someone who's seeking an asylum. He's seeking like a place to live. He's seeking a place to live. So he's fearing to go back to his country of origin because of the social, political reasons, and he's fearing to be killed and to be dead. So this is serious. So this is why he's asking the government of Canada to secure or to protect him and give him the status of a refugee. So when your status of a refugee is being approved by an immigration consultant or immigration agent, then you have the status of a refugee. And the status of a refugee gives you a lot of rights and obligations. You can actually work with an open permit. You can actually even go to school, but you are not a permanent resident. You're just a refugee. You're just a refugee. You're not a permanent resident. So it means that the rights and obligations that actually offer to permanent residents, you don't have those kind of obligations and rights. That is really important for you to know, regardless what is your status in Canada, to know what are your rights and your obligations. If you are a student, you have rights and obligations. If you are a worker, you have rights and obligations. And if you are an asylum seeker or refugee or permanent resident, you have rights and obligations. Even if you are a citizen, you still have rights and obligations. You have to maintain a valid status in order for you to succeed here in Canada. This has not changed at all. Even if the immigration or the law has changed in the process, the objective of the immigration law remains the same, to maintain, to help Canada to be economically prosperous, to make Canada prosper. So we are here to make Canada prosper. We are here to make Canada prosper, and we are here to prosper also. So it's a win-win situation. You have to see it that way. It's a win-win situation. It's very important to keep that in mind. That is the win-win situation. Immigration, it is a win-win situation. What are you actually offering to Canada? So that Canada is going to offer you this and this and this. What are you offering to Canada? So you need to work on your skills and your competencies. You need to be able to offer something to Canada. It is a win-win situation. Okay? You have to keep that in mind. So an asylum seeker is not a refugee. And a refugee is not a permanent resident. If you want to become a permanent resident while you are a refugee, then you have to apply to be a permanent resident. And then you have to prove to an immigration officer that you have the requirements and the competence and the skills and the backgrounds and the security check, the criminal check, making sure that you're not going to be a danger to Canada. They want to make sure that if they give you like permanent resident, that you're going to be a danger to them. So you need to be careful of that, okay? So just have to maintain the valid status at all time. Be diligent in knowing what is your right and obligation, and be prudent and do what you are supposed to do to maintain your status, and then you're going to be able to succeed here in Canada by securing a position or a job that's going to help you earn your living. And if you have children, earn your living and taking care of your family. Okay, this is very important to know and to understand. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you have like this video is only to give you like informations regarding your rights and obligation concerning your status in Canada. If you have like a particular question, if you want us to look into your file and help you succeed, or have your permanent resident, or be a citizen here, or have a job, you have to contact us, because we actually work with an immigration lawyer. I'm a director, I'm not a lawyer. I work with the lawyer, and the lawyer is going to help you with his skills, secure a position as a worker, or have a student visa and the student permit that's going to help you study here with a student permit. It's going to help you maintain a valid student permit here in order for you to have a permanent resident later on. If you meet the requirement for you to have the permanent resident after graduating from your studies. Okay. So if you want to have like if you have a particular concern regarding your file, you can book an appointment. I'm going to just put the link in below on my YouTube channel. You just have to click on the link, okay, to secure an appointment with our immigration lawyer. He's willing to help. He's very dedicated to help you accomplish your mission to immigrate and succeed in Canada. He has the skills and the competence of a Quebec immigration lawyer, and it's going to help you succeed regarding whatever situation you're dealing with concerning your immigration status here in Canada. Okay, so just click on the link I'm just going to put below my video to secure an appointment with us. It's only 30 minutes. You're going to evaluate your profile and guide you throughout the process and help you choose what's going to be better for you to succeed in Canada. So we're going to help you navigate navigate through all those processes. So if you want to be a student, we're going to give you what is the advantage of being a student here in Canada. If you want to come here as a worker, or if you want to come here as an asylum seeker, or if you just want to visit here in Canada, or you just want to like sponsor your family back home to come here in Canada. Okay, so just click on the link, book an appointment with our immigration lawyer, and it's going to be willing to help you because you are dedicated. It is our mission to make sure that you have an excellent service while succeeding here in Canada. Thank you. Bye-bye.